Streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, one person was hurt in a shooting at Victoria College. The latest details tonight. Two local figures in Victoria now running for District 30 in this race for state representative. And the country is faced with the threat of a government shutdown as the deadline draws near.
Well, for us, one more soupy night, which is tonight. By tomorrow, the low is going to pull away and we look for clearing skies. We'll be talking about warmer temperatures up ahead.
And one of the top running backs in the nation is from the Crossroads, but we have an update on his situation. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10.
This is breaking news from 25 News Now.
Breaking news tonight, there's been a shooting on the Victoria College campus tonight. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick is live on the VC campus with the very latest. Adarius?
Victoria Police Department responded to a man with gunshot wounds right here in this parking lot at Victoria College around 7 this evening. We spoke with the victim's mother and she says he is in stable condition as he was sent to a local hospital with none life-threatening injuries. Now the suspects got away before Victoria Police Department could make it to the scene. However, the investigation is active. We spoke with Dr. Jennifer Kent, who is Victoria College's president, and she says that the campus will remain closed until tomorrow. They will be closed tomorrow, and that's all we have right now. We'll have more later. You can come to CrossroadsToday.com for more information. Reporting live in Victoria, I'm Adarius McCormick, KVU TV 25 News Now.
Adarius, thank you. And more on what he just mentioned, that Victoria College has announced that all Victoria College classes canceled and offices closed tomorrow out of respect for the stress individuals may be facing after the shooting on the Victoria College campus tonight. More coming on our website, CrossroadsToday.com. This afternoon, an 80-year-old man died in a crash. Victoria police were on the scene of the two-vehicle crash in the 5500 block of North John Stockbauer Drive. It happened just before 2 p.m. Police say a gray 2018 GMC was traveling northbound, while a gray 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee was traveling southbound. The GMC then drove into southbound traffic, causing a head-on collision with the Cherokee. The drivers of the two vehicles were taken to area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. However, 80-year-old Joseph Johnson, who was in the GMC, died from his injuries. District 30 State Representative Jeannie Morrison decided not to seek re-election. So far, two area leaders want the seat. Victoria Mayor Jeff Bouknight and former Jackson County Sheriff A.J. Louderback threw their hats into the ring for Texas House District 30. To run for state office, the Texas Constitution requires Bouknight to formally resign as mayor but remain in his role until another mayor is elected. He served as mayor since 2021 and was elected to city council back in 2013, which means he's no stranger to politics. Mayor Bouknight had this to say, quote, "I'm humbled by the outpouring of support and encouragement I've received from our community to run for the Texas House, and I'm all in," unquote. Former Jackson County Sheriff A.J. Louderback is all in as well. Louderback has 40 years of experience in law enforcement and was elected Jackson County Sheriff 5 times. He does not fear a race since he ran for U.S. Congress District 27 in the primary last March against Congressman Michael Cloud. In this race, his biggest plan is to tackle border security head on. As for the city of Victoria, the council will decide whether to hold a special mayoral election on February 3rd. This decision will come from their next meeting on November 21st. A Lavaca County jail inmate faces a new charge after escaping last Friday from a work detail. 63-year-old Donald Keith Kirkman was recaptured Friday night and now faces a felony charge of escape. Kirkman is held on bonds totaling $130,000 from 4 previous charges. He faces a drug charge and was on a probation violation. He was also in custody accused of bail jumping, failure to identify, failure to appear, and for being a fugitive trying to give false information. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office is looking for information on the suspect you are about to see. This man is a person of interest in a theft on October 31st at the Cobra Corner in Vanderbilt. The suspect may be driving an older model Chevy pickup. If you can help, call investigators at the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, 361-782-3541. A former Warden ISD teacher's aide faces up to 2 years in prison if convicted. The El Campo Leader News reports a 4-count injury to a child indictment was handed down against 67-year-old Donna K. Plunkett. She's accused of striking 2 students in the face and head in a life skills class on the Civils Elementary School campus on October 21st, 2022. Plunkett was fired by the Warden ISD following an investigation that included a review of surveillance footage. Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac. I tell you what, another rainy day. Do we have any break from the rain? I feel strange saying that because we, needed some of this earlier.
We really did, and it was a great rain because we got anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain around the area over the last 4 days, but I know you're probably beginning to rust out there a little bit. The good news is that most of the heavy weather is pulling out by tomorrow. We're going to start with some clouds, but we're going to see the sun, and all this moisture is going to dry up. We'll be talking more about what to expect for the rest of the work week coming up in just a moment. Don?
Mac, thank you. The U.S. Army has announced it is overturning the convictions of 110 black soldiers who were stationed at Camp Logan, 19 of whom were executed after they were found guilty of murder, mutiny, and assault after a riot in Houston in 1917. Also, military records will now show an honorable discharge for the 95 soldiers who were not restored to duty. And in partnership with Veterans Affairs, the families of the surviving soldiers will now become eligible to receive benefits.
As was the practice at the time, the information inscribed on their headstones was minimal due to their convictions. Now, with the Army setting aside these convictions and upgrading the discharges, NCA is ready to correctly acknowledge and memorialize their service to our nation, and if desired, to provide new headstones with the same amount of information that every veteran is entitled to.
In addition, the National Cemetery Administration plans to provide new headstones for the 17 executed Buffalo soldiers interred for more than a century at Fort Sam Houston. The clock is ticking yet again for lawmakers on Capitol Hill to pass a bill to keep the federal government open. Government funding is set to run out of money at 12:01 a.m. this Saturday. There's already opposition from House Republicans to a plan put forward by House Speaker Mike Johnson.
There's another potential government shutdown looming in Washington, and new House Speaker Mike Johnson has just 5 days to strike a deal with the Senate and the White House, or there will be a shutdown. Johnson unveiled an unconventional 2-step plan to fund the government. Under his proposal, 5 federal agencies, including Veterans Affairs, Housing, Energy, and more, would receive funding through January 19th. The Department of Defense and Homeland Security would get a longer runway with funding through February 2nd.
Trust us, we're working through the process in a way that I think the people will be proud of.
This slimmed-down bill leaves out aid for Israel and Ukraine and also doesn't include changes to immigration policy, a sticking point for some Republicans.
We can't sit back and do nothing. And talking to Prime Minister Netanyahu, they needed this yesterday, in his words. Ukraine needed it yesterday.
At least 5 Republicans have already said they won't vote for the proposal, meaning that Johnson will need House Democrats to back his measure for it to pass. While the proposed bill doesn't include all of their priorities, it is a, quote, clean continuing resolution that they should be able to support. The president, when asked by reporters if he would veto the current plan from Speaker Johnson, saying Monday,
I'm not going to make a judgment what I'd veto, what I'd sign, but let's wait and see what they come up with.
A shutdown could impact an estimated 3.5 million federal workers, 2 million of those in the military. The timing of this potential shutdown could affect Americans' leisure and safety ahead of this busy Thanksgiving holiday. Air traffic controllers and TSA agents could be working without pay, and federally run museums and parks could shut down during one of the busiest times of the year. In Washington, Liz Landers, ABC News.
There are still questions about why a plane ran off the runway and through a fence at a small airport north of Dallas. New cell phone video from a young man who was nearby the crash shows the scary moments when the plane broke through the fence, missing him by inches. The plane did eventually crash into a vehicle driving down the street. The man says he was watching planes and just happened to be there.
I just saw this plane. I was expecting it to slow down, but it just kept getting closer and it wasn't slowing down. All I was thinking was just, I need to run away from this. And I just immediately stopped filming and I just started running backwards towards the golf course.
Carson says the plane tried to land before the hard landing and crash. At least one person was hurt and taken to the hospital. This week is Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. This week you can drop off non-perishable food items at Victoria Christian Assistance Ministries at 108 North Liberty. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code to vote now. Here's the question. Do you plan to take part in events for Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 33% of our voters say yes. 67% say no. We thank you for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today in YouTube. Stay with us. A former Louisville police officer stands accused of violating Breonna Taylor's rights in the night of a deadly police raid in March 2020. That's coming up on 25 News now at 10. Also ahead, a fire that broke out underneath a freeway in Los Angeles has led to major traffic delays.
For more than a decade, meteorologist Trey Mining has served as your trusted face at 25 News Now First Warn Storm Team. But now, he faces a different kind of storm.
So I saw a neurologist here in town, and he says, I think it's Parkinson's possibly, but I'm not sure.
Join anchor Carolina Estrain as she presents Trey's Story, a 25 News Now Extra, this Thursday night at 10. Sometimes, the bravest forecasts aren't about the weather.
A former Louisville police officer is on trial for violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor and others when he fired into 2 apartments during a raid that killed Taylor in March 2020. On Friday, Brett Hankinson had said he would not change his actions on the night Breonna Taylor was shot and killed. During his testimony today, he said he believed he acted within reason to protect his fellow officers. Hankinson is accused of violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor, her boyfriend, and their neighbors. After he fired into their apartment, he could face life in prison if convicted. Part of a major Los Angeles freeway remains shut down after a fire that broke out in a storage yard underneath the highway over the weekend. The governor has declared a state of emergency for California cleanup and to ensure the interstate is safe to reopen.
A massive fire in a storage yard by Los Angeles I-10 freeway shutting down the interstate in both directions. New images showed the extensive damage from underneath the freeway. The blaze started early Saturday, burning parked cars, wooden pallets, and leaving the highway's columns charred and chipped, guardrails twisted and blackened. Officials shutting down this critical portion of I-10 through downtown LA indefinitely, impacting 300,000 motorists.
Losing this stretch of the 10 freeway will take time and money from people's lives and businesses. It's disrupting in every way.
Officials say it's too early in their investigation to say how the fire started, as they work to ensure there is no threat to the integrity of the roadway.
To ensure that we inspect this facility, the bridges, that we are taking core samples, that the facility is safe before we reopen it.
Team of firefighters battling the flames for 3 hours. Officials saying the fire burned an equivalent of 6 football fields. Governor Gavin Newsom says the state has been in litigation with the owner of the business leasing the storage property where the fire started.
There is still no timeline on when the freeway will reopen, meaning this could impact Thanksgiving holiday next week, when travel on the road is expected to be the busiest of the year. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The Supreme Court is adopting a new code of conduct. This comes after months of headlines claiming some justices appear to have potential ethics violations. The move also comes after mounting pressure from Democrats in Congress who threatened to pass legislation mandating ethics reform. They plan to hold a vote to authorize subpoenas for 2 major conservative players close to Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. A new report raises concerns over Texas grid conditions this winter. KBUE reports the North American Electric Reliability Corporation said due to a lack of natural gas infrastructure, ERCOT could fall short of electricity during extreme cold weather. The report shows ERCOT is vulnerable to generators going offline under extreme cold conditions.
Well, and the winter is about to get upon us. Right now, we're at 60 degrees, another soupy night, but things are looking better for the next few days. Today's high only 63. Tomorrow will be about 70. Good news is we had 0.6 of an inch of rain. Out at Riverside Park, we got 1.15. That brings our total to almost 3 inches for the month of November and cuts the deficit by about 2 inches. We'll be back with more on your work week weather coming up after this. Well, good evening, everybody. Yes, I think you're starting to rust, right? It's been 4 days of nothing but rain and cool temperatures, but all that is coming to an end. The storm, actually the low that was sitting in the Gulf that triggered all that rain, is now moving away. You can see it right about there. So things are thinning out, and we may have a soupy night, that we may have some fog as well, but by tomorrow morning it'll be overcast, and by the end of tomorrow, a little bit of sun, and then things are looking good for the rest of the week. Now, this is Future Tracker, so we start off on Monday evening and we go forward, and you can see that by tomorrow morning a lot of that will really thin out in terms of rainfall. We go into Tuesday afternoon, and you can see how by then it's pretty much all gone. We should be thinning out with a little bit of sunshine, and we're looking to get up to about 70 degrees. That's 10 degrees warmer than it was today. And then when we get to Tuesday, all into Wednesday, things are looking actually very nice. We'll have some moderate temperatures, and we'll have a little bit of sunshine for 4 or 5 days. Now, I say 4 or 5 days because in the wintertime, things move a lot faster than in summertime. So as this low starts moving across the Gulf, we start clearing out. That's the good news. That'll give us 1, 2, 3 days of generally sunny skies to dry up. But over here on the West Coast, we're watching this. This is going to be a very interesting development. Now, this is a powerful Pacific storm. The thing is that it's dropping down, strengthening, and then going to be stuck there for about 2, 3 days. Now, California is really under the gun. This isn't another one of those hurricanes from the ocean that they're watching very carefully. If it goes north, that's one forecast. If it goes east, that's another forecast. If it drops south, which is what I think is going to happen, it'll have something to do with our weather. Interesting things, I don't know that if anybody's ever been to Iceland, but Iceland has had over 1,000 earthquakes in the last 2 days, and they're very likely to have a new volcano developing. So there's going to be a volcanic eruption under a city. Now, the people in the city have been evacuated, but that city is going to disappear off the map when this takes off. And this is one volcano. We have another one in the Philippines, one in Japan, and one in Mexico. All of them are kind of gurgling right now, so interesting developments around the world. Here is the storm that's going to be dropping down that I'm telling you about. This is classic, and as you can see, the winds really sweep around like this. So when it does start moving in, you know, will it be San Francisco, Los Angeles, and it'll make a big difference off of us? I've already put it in the 7-day forecast, so we'll show that to you in a second. About 58 tonight, tomorrow, almost 70 degrees. So yes, we're looking for a little bit of sun. And then as we get on into the rest of the day, well, here is the forecast for those of you in Port Lavaca. Up to about 71 with partly cloudy skies and a little sun. In Cuero, we start off with 57 and get up to 71. And yes, we got some sun for you guys as well, too. So again, today's the last soupy night. Tomorrow things will start to clear, cloudy in the morning, but partly cloudy, mostly sunny in the afternoon. Wednesday's looking good, 72. Thursday, Friday looking real nice. So is Saturday. By Sunday, we start watching to the west, and I think that Monday, the frontal system should start approaching our area, so we'll be watching it for you very carefully. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. If you scan that, you can put Crossroads Today on your phone and get the latest in sports from Gino.
Thanks, Mac. We have a preview of the game of the week, which will be played in our own backyard. That and more after the break. At a Crossroads over the weekend, a former Hallettsville running back underwent surgery. Jonathan Brooks has rushed his way into the conversation as one of the best backs in the nation, but tragically his season came to an end against the TCU Horned Frogs. Brooks scored 2 touchdowns on the night, but later on he was tackled on a fourth quarter run before crawling off the field and eventually getting diagnosed of a torn ACL. Brooks was the #1 ranked back in the draft by Mel Kiper. What a blow for the Longhorns and a small town north of Victoria, which recently retired the formerly named Mr. Texas high school football player. For the parents that have athletes wanting to compete at the next level, show them this clip. This is the definition of a hustle play by a Cuero Gobbler. Now the Texas quarterback throws an interception. Whittington would miss the tackle there, but he did not give up on the play. A few seconds later, he comes back, hacks at the ball and knocks it loose. His team would recover, and this was huge because it was 7-6 at the time in the first quarter. Longhorns would go on to win 29-6 and are still ranked #7 in the nation. Well, it is the second week of Texas high school football playoffs, and there are all kinds of games around the area, but there's one in Victoria. The Edna Cowboys are getting back in rhythm after losing to Goliad for what would have been the district title. Edna is on a 3-game win streak, beating Mathis, Aransas Pass, and Rio Hondo in each of those games. Edna has scored at least 49 points in those 3 contests. It'll be a battle of Cowboys and Indians Thursday night when the Jourdanton Indians and Edna Cowboys come to town. The 8-2 Cowboys hope to pull out the upset against the undefeated Indians, which beat Goliad earlier in the year. Kickoff is at 7 at Memorial Stadium. Another big game going on this week is between the Industrial Cobras and the Randolph Hawks. Industrial is also on a 3-game win streak, scoring at least 45 points in the past 3 games. This year, the Cobras have played 6 teams that made it to the playoffs. Head coach Craig Nairn said this team does not quit, and his quarterback Ashton Garza reflects on playing in this cold and wet weather.
We're playing some pretty good football. You know, I think our best is still ahead of us. You know, there's some things we can do probably a little bit better, but we're definitely hitting our stride. Since the Edna game, we kind of been able to really get our run game going, and that's helped a bunch.
Over the years, we've adjusted to this weather, and I feel like it doesn't really matter to us. Seems how we've played a bunch of rounds in this weather. Last year, we played round 1 in rain. We played round 2 in rain and cold. So, I mean, it's like a chip on the shoulder. It's nothing. Just grinding. We just got to keep working and stay hungry for that next round of the playoffs.
The Rohawks are the favorites with a record of 10-1. These two battle it out on Friday night at 7 o'clock in LaGrange. If Industrial and Edna both win, they will meet up in the regional round of playoffs. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
Gino, I have a question now. The people who are watching earlier tonight saw the Broncos beat the Bills by 1 point with a field goal at the buzzer. The Bills loss, how much does that help the Texans in the AFC playoff race?
Well, right now, if you're looking at the bracket, the Texans are in the wild card round. They are with a record of 5-4, and the Bills just lost, so they're 5-5 right now. So who knows? Maybe the Texans can make the playoffs for the first time in a long time, but I think they did find their quarterback. Wouldn't you say so, Don?
Yeah, for maybe a decade. All right, Gino, thanks. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a veteran from Victoria receives a large housewarming gift. Welcome home has taken on a whole new meaning for a Victoria veteran and his family with the presentation of a fully furnished new home. The mission of the Helping a Hero organization is to help veterans get a brand new fully furnished home. U.S. Army veteran Bradley Grutzner, who suffered major injuries in Iraq, was nominated by a fellow Army veteran and friend. Many local and statewide organizations came together to build the Bradley's new home.
I'm overwhelmed with happiness and joy and thankfulness that this is all for me.
Grutzner's family includes his wife Angie along with 2 daughters. Bradley has committed his life to helping veterans heal through various hunting trips. A lion that escaped a circus and prowled the streets of an Italian town has been captured. Police in a town near Rome were advised to stay indoors for hours Saturday. The lion was tracked with a geolocator, sedated, and was returned to the circus. Authorities on scene said the lion was in good condition, although frightened and in a state of mild hypothermia. Authorities say they are looking into reports that the lion may have been let loose on purpose. That would not be a good thing if that was the case. You know, most of the time that we have known our chief meteorologist, Mac Pettis, the last nickname we would give you is the Rainmaker. But lately, yes.
I'll take it. Well, I wish I could be the one who does it, but, you know, I just talk about it. But 4 days of dreary stuff. I mean, are you ready to get back into the sunshine?
Hey, I love it. I mean, especially when you're out there covering the games, too. So.
Oh, yeah. I bet that was good on Friday, huh? Good football weather.
Good football weather.
Well, for those of you that the games this coming Friday, we've got beautiful weather. In fact, by tomorrow morning, you're going to see a lot of the cloud cover begin to disappear, and by the end of the day, we should see a little sun. Wednesday's looking real nice, getting up into the 70s all the way through Saturday and even Sunday. Next rain chance, it's not till about 7 days from now, so we're not going to worry about it for the time being. I think we need to dry up a little bit. My shoes are still wet.
Oh my gosh. Put them in the dryer. Just kidding.
There you
All
go.
right, Mag, thank you. Finally tonight, many people tend to steer clear of alligators lurking in a pond. I'm in that group.
I'm in that group.
But a group of otters don't seem to care. This video shows the group playing near a gator in Lake Hollingsworth in Lakeland, Florida. The gator swims closer, then stops with his snout sticking out of the water. When the otters spot it, they start darting back and forth, almost like they're taunting it. That is really dangerous, one way or the otter.
They were otter there.
Otter there, yes. It took them a while to move that.
Yeah, they
okay.
said, after a while, crocodile.
That's right, that's right. All right, guys, thanks so much, and thanks for watching. And we have the very latest on the shooting on the campus of Victoria College on our website, crossroadstoday.com. Join Carolina Astroin and meteorologist Parker Cox for the latest on that on 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.